wanna do a podcast? We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you wanna do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Come?
Alright, I'll do my own bits myself.
Oh wait, no silence.
We're doing it. Get off the road.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I'm Boater.
I'm Dave, man.
And Dave, our first topic tonight is actually, did you hear about the new Jurassic World movie that was announced?
No.
Chris Pratt's character is going to be training some of his dinosaurs actually to be like paratroopers so that they can parachute in on hunts. Unfortunately, during the first test, one of the dinos isn't able to figure out his parachute and quickly reaches terminal velociraptor.
Oh, that poor. Well, a speedy recovery for the rest of the cadets.
Something
we wish them
will
well.
be speedy. Yes. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Glasses. As far as I know, there isn't a new Jurassic World movie announced, but it wouldn't surprise me. There's actually a fair amount of things.
When you say it out loud, an executive somewhere goes, "What?"
Yeah, like I said out loud, and I'm just like, wait, that might actually be a thing that there is. Where like, oh yeah, I did hear about that. Where it's a no, Dave, you're ruining it. As much as that could have segued into something, I actually don't have anything lined up as far as news goes for new announcements. But as I get pelted with tomatoes and quickly recover from my vegetable-laden injuries, Dave, do you want to take the lead here? Because you said you've had a lot of topics that we've pushed back the last few weeks, Death Stranding the most among them, but I know that there's been others as well.
Yes. I kind of betted a lot of the past ones because we were able to catch up on some of them. But
yeah, it happens.
Sony did announce. Sony has a double-edged sword this week, where they announced when the PS5 they'll be doing the reveal and things like that on June 11th.
Okay.
So
that is this
phenomenal.
Thursday as opposed to last Thursday.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm very much looking forward to talking about it on the 16th, seeing what it looks like. We can react to all those things. At the same point, Sony is now getting fined $2.4 million from Australia. They false and misleading representations about how you can get refunds for some games.
Okay.
Australians' consumer law basically says if you offer refunds, these are the codes that it has to follow.
Okay. Yep.
And Sony's, it's basically a 14-day one.
Yeah.
Sony's is if you use it, you lose it.
Yeah. Okay. So like if you download a game and you try it out for half an hour and realize it's not for you, too bad. It's the equivalent of you've taken the shrink wrap off the game and Walmart's not going to accept it back.
Yep.
Reveal is it's not going to be the release date of the PS5. I think we're still looking at a holiday release date for PS5, but more what we were originally going to get last week, and that is, here's all the games you can expect to be on it and more details about the system itself. Get excited.
And what the system's actually going to look like, what the actual specs are.
Yeah.
Because there's a ton online of people saying, well, R&D said this, or this company said that, or I scrounged around the trash at Sony Enterprises and I found this chip, which means that...
Yeah, so far they've announced that it's going to be called the PS5, and they've shown what the controller looks like, but they haven't gotten as far as showing what the system looks like. I remember that being a big thing with the PS4, too, because its style of, kind of looking like an odd trapezoidal eraser kind of caught everyone off guard, because as it was still being announced as the PS4, it was still these rather slightly comically large dev kits. I remember PS3 dev kits needed to, some of them literally needed to be put in a refrigerator because it was non-final hardware.
Yep.
Sony knows how to count, unlike some of their...
Boy, did it get hot.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even get us started on. We had that whole, when this program started, about what the next Xbox was going to be called.
I forget what my running gag was for all of 3 weeks before Microsoft just shut that down. Xbox Series 1X. I still kind of can't believe it.
I can't believe, because all that's going to do at the retail level is cause people to say, well, I want an Xbox One X. Okay, here's a One X. Well, that's not the one that I wanted. No, you
Yeah,
said you want an Xbox One X. You didn't say a Series X.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Like Series One X will be different from the Xbox One X, which is a different series of the Xbox One. It's they're making the same mistake that Nintendo did with the Wii U. You and I, we knew that the Wii U was a whole separate system, but your average consumer thought that the Wii U was a controller with a screen attached that was an add-on for the original Wii.
I will never forget getting to read the Consumer Reports where, because Sony is based in Japan and there is Nintendo of America, but it's not so much a brain trust as much as it is observe and report back to home base.
Yeah,
And then watching about a week's worth of news cycle, because that's what they did. They observed and reported,
yep,
and Nintendo having to scramble to re-release this whole couple $1 million ad campaign
yeah,
explaining to us what's the potato Americans that, like, no, it's not more things for your Wii U, it's a new system.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that quickly followed up by my favorite video, and one day I will find it, of a Nintendo executive in a press conference having to be explained that the U.S. is hoarding the amiibos, and the executive's like having one of those moments where he's like, clearly this is a translation problem. He's like, no, no, no. He's like, he like leans into the mic. He's like, they're toys. He's like, you can only use one per system. And the like question person was like, no, no, no. But people know that, but they're still buying truckloads of them. And then he's like, oh, no, no, you misunderstood me. They are toys. You can only use one. And then the whole thing, like, they were like, no, people are going to the store and buying armfuls of them. And the Nintendo executive like got this like stone face look on his face, and he goes, we're just going to make more of them. Screw those people. Like,
Yes,
they're
good.
toys. Like,
I did a somewhat gray thing with amiibos this week with Animal Crossing, and that was that we have a villager that was foisted upon us that we absolutely do not like, and it's possible one of the ways to get villagers to move out is to have someone go to your campsite, and you can force a specific person to go to your campsite if you have the amiibo. If you have the little figure for a villager, you can say tap it against your pro controller, say,
yeah.
hey, this one comes here. And all the amiibos were still released back in New Leaf, which was a previous game. Um, but there is an app to have your Android phone be recognized as a Switch controller, and then you can load
Oh.
the NFC data from amiibos onto your phone. So that's more or less how I'm forcing the rat off my island, is by just I found a villager that kind of looks cool, and I'm saying I totally have the amiibo. They're not in print anymore. They're not being made. Otherwise, I would have just bought one. But
Actually, that's one of the stories that was 2 weeks ago. Nintendo is printing more amiibo cards for Animal
okay.
Crossing.
Oh, cool, cool.
Um,
Are they
there's
making
not a
the new ones for the 11 new villagers, or are they just reprinting the old series? They are.
it's updated looks of how the new villagers will look and
But that
characters,
will
because
ruin the aftermarket economy for Raymond. What are they doing?
I know, and those poor
This
people that
one
will have to
character
actually play
sells
a
for
game.
thousands of dollars. Or at
Oh
least
my
hundreds.
God.
People will go to eBay and drop $500 for a cat with, what's it called, heterochromia. Two different eye colors. Because he's smug and kind of looks cool and aloof. The
I
most
have no
sought
sympathy
after.
for those people. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like 100% Nintendo get in on that racket, yeah. I like Raymond. I don't get the appeal of Raymond, and I see that. I like him. I like his design. He does really look cool. But
I'm not paying money for him,
oh,
but
100%. I mean, if I get an amiibo for him, I might get that and then replace the other villager that I'm like kind of gray hacking into the game and be like, all right, cool. Here's one that I actually spent, money on. Boop, there. Nintendo got their money and I got a character.
exactly. Um, the other reason the distinction they made for that is because obviously in New Horizons, KK Slider, and all the other characters, they are specialty characters and they only visit on certain days once a week.
Yep.
Whereas the amiibo cards in New Leaf could be used to get them to visit your campsites
Yeah.
or to see things, and that worked because they were they would kind of come haphazardly.
Yeah, like,
Um,
and even in New Horizons, there's the like main character ones. Like Isabel isn't going to visit your campsite. She's right there. She's working. Okay. She
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 lives
works
there, damn it.
she works 24/7. She doesn't have time to camp. I really wish that just like a couple hours around midnight they'd close the resident service building, and you could see her like going home, going to sleep because she sleeps at her desk half the time. Come on,
I am
this girl needs a
so
break.
thankful they don't close it because I never play that game at times where things are supposed to be happening.
Okay, they need a second shift then. One of
Just
your
it becomes
random
Timmy and Tommy.
Isn't it past your bedtime?
The both of them like just sitting there. You see like a little cup of coffee as they both shake and they just repeat each other. Like,
Yeah.
What do you need? Need?
You want a customization on your house? On your house? We'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow. Guys, you can no, we can do it tomorrow. It'll be done. The bitch will be done.
If you go from one to the other back to the third one, then they just get to the point where they're both like, just get out. Like,
Animal Crossing has a lot of two real parallels to capitalism: truth and truth.
although I gotta say, as much as Tom Nook is a crime boss, he gives a much friendlier break on my bills and things like that than anyone I have ever interacted with in my entire 31 years on this planet.
Look, I'm really happy to just not having a national grid bill. You know, that's nice. Or Spectrum. Granted, I don't. Well, I do have cable in the game because I have a TV. It has the same like 12 shows, but I have a TV. It has Saturday morning cartoons.
Although, how many times in Animal Crossing have you interacted with a device that you've put instantly in the house and had issues? And how many times have you and I both had issues, or everyone in chat, when you plug in a new device and then you have to reset it, then you have to set it up, you have to do this, then the internet's down because there was wires down or something else.
Raise your hand if you've had a service outage of any sort at your house in the past week. Yep. So I will say that's one thing that Animal Crossing doesn't simulate. I'm sorry, just the power's not out. Maybe you should have put some utility poles up. I don't care if they're ugly. We gotta have utilities on this island.
The thing I like most about it is like you could figure though that like once again the Timmy and Tommy model, like if the power went out, they'd be running around like going like, "Do you need electricity? It's 500 bells. We'll get it to you right now." Like,
No, I just want one of them in a hamster wheel just running really fast as the backup generator of the island.
you'd see, or like they could even your sporty villager just running on the hamster wheel, getting super psyched about this, and like while the rest of the village just claps for him, like.
Oh, poor Mott. Sometime we need to do a Nerd Glasses from within Animal Crossing. We'll just visit one island or the other, set up a set.
Could easily be done.
No promises, but I might push Dave towards doing that next week. Not promising yet, but keep an eye on Instagram and such.
Oh yeah, it'll be a super hard sell for me.
What? You mean I don't need to set up the green screen? I'll see if I can get a second capture card, and then my face cam while playing whatever I'm playing on the Citadel will still be Animal Crossing. No, I'll just take a screenshot and put it there. It's fine. I don't feel like getting nice for the camera, says a boy that literally goes, I'm fine. Okay, this isn't just the Animal Crossing show, I promise, but like,
I mean,
that's kind of where
it feels good to just break that down. Speaking of cute things that you didn't expect being, actually, this kind of ties into other topics, so I'm gonna halt right there, and I'm gonna come back to Boater.
Yes.
Our friends at Activision Blizzard have made the news once again.
No, Dave, why?
The bells are going off, the sirens, and just like Sony this week, it's a good thing, and actually, it's another very good thing. I'm not going to lie. I'm very excited to discuss these two stories.
Okay.
The first one, it's a little bit light on content in regards to the fact that one of the two of us lives and breathes this game, and the other one of us doesn't play this game at all.
Okay.
But Overwatch recently added a hero pool to its competitive mode. And what that basically meant
sounds like Loot Crate or Gacha, whatever.
It's just as evil, but for a different reason. There was no monetization to it. What it was every day they would say, hey, these X amount, let's just say 5 heroes, are not
Mhm.
available for you to play in competitive mode.
Huh.
They're just gone. Which in the idea of competitive play is very interesting because there are some that over specialize, in any game where you have character abilities and you can't customize the characters to a situation.
Yeah.
It's just this character does this.
Yeah, this is
Um,
their role. Yeah.
I really liked that idea, but it was everybody's bane of their existence, and the Overwatch League kind of suffered for it because, as much as pros are able to play multiple characters, because they would find out the day of the match, they weren't really able to adjust their strategies, and so you would see some teams just falling apart right at the gate because they practiced all week with these particular heroes and then
Yeah, yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
So they got rid of it.
Good.
Players can rejoice now because you're no longer going to have to hop on to competitive and find out that your main McCree is not going to be playable for that day, and then suffer the consequences therein of not playing your best character. And on the better news, much better news.
Oh boy.
Um, the name Bobby Kotick. We've mentioned it here on this stream.
Yeah. I know it's
And
pronounced
for those of
Kotick,
you,
but yeah. It's the
And for those
CEO
of
of
you who don't
Activision.
know, oh, I know exactly what the pronunciation is. I'm not giving him the decency of actually pronouncing his name correctly. Fuck that guy. And not only am I saying that, but CTW Investment Corp executives have recently been looking at their investments in Blizzard and going, wait. So some of the things they're taking issue with
Uh-huh.
is every year he receives over $20 million in stock options.
Yeah.
He also, let's see, gets there's a list of disgusting things.
Yeah, yeah.
But for example, Activision Blizzard has been firing over, for example, this past year in 2019, they laid off 800 employees.
Yep. Yeah, the usual laying off the employees, but the CEO still get bonuses.
Those 800 employees earned less than a third of 1% of Bobby Kotick's earnings.
Yeah.
So, even
Capitalism.
the executives that want market capitalization and want these things to be successful, are going, when's the next investor meeting? And the answer to that, by the way, because I did a little bit of digging, is June 11th. And so by the next
is that
Nerd
going to be
Glasses,
before or after the PS5 thing?
it's going to be hopefully before, because then if it's after, you'll know that Kotick will be able to tap dance his way through. Well, we didn't really have time to discuss that addendum, but next week.
Yeah.
Because Fat Boy's going down, my brethren, and it feels real good.
I'm sorry, I just don't have the heart anymore to believe any calls of "Ha, we got him this time," just for anything.
The only reason
he's
I
been in
believe
charge
it
of
is
Activision
the
since
money's coming
I
after
started
the
working
money.
at video game stores in 2008. Like, he's been riding Activision's scumminess for so long. It's not going to change anything. And again, like, of the different game publishers, I consider Activision to be evil number one. Because they do that more than the others do. Not that the others don't. Not that the others don't have their own scummy things, but Activision is bad about being unoriginal, not investing in new IP, writing old ones and writing trends until it's beating a dead horse. They don't innovate. They just copy and sometimes improve. Sometimes they're just copying and throwing a ton of marketing weight behind it. And, like, they single-handedly killed the rhythm game industry because they put out literally 7 Guitar Hero games in 1 year. Okay, literally 5 in 1 year. But, like, they do that kind of thing. And then this kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, cool, so the CEO makes this much and it's taking how much in bonuses, but we'll lay off a development studio, an entire studio.
I will say this is the first time in Activision Blizzard history where being reported that the investors are the ones bringing up the issue.
Okay, that helps.
In the past, Bobby was able to have the money behind him, and then
Mm-hmm.
have us, the people that are the money, complain about him.
Yeah. And so I guess just in this capitalist hellscape, all that matters is the investors. And if the investors aren't happy, then yeah, I suppose he's got something to worry about. Lip service to changes that need to be made, whether it actually happens or not.
Fastest way to get things changing is to get the old whites on the board to go, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
every time. Speaking of old whites and changing times, EA has finally joined the rest of us and will have their first ever game to have PlayStation, Xbox One, and PC crossplay.
Okay.
Of the many, 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 many titles that EA has their claws all over, Boater, what do you think would that title be? What would be a good idea to have crossplay on?
An EA game with crossplay.
Their first ever
Um,
one.
is it Anthem? No, Anthem's a little out of date at this point. Then I'm just gonna say Madden.
Now,
Which Madden game is it? Ask Demon Dragon.
now, both of you would be very smart and very wise, and that would
Or FIFA.
that would be that would be a great move on their part, because by God, people love them some FIFA. No, no, it's Need for Speed Heat. You know, that game that everybody loves and everyone's playing. Oh wait, that's right. It's coming with the last patch for the game.
How long has Need for Speed Heat been out? Like, I thought it was going to
November.
be announced for, like, a new game. It's been out since November? Okay.
November 2019.
Okay.
It
Madden FIFA crossover. Madden FIFA crossplay.
see, once again,
We had the geniuses right here in chat.
it would all of those things would make them so much money. I would go out to buy FIFA if I could cross-play it. But no, Need for
Yeah.
Speed Heat didn't move the needle for me initially. Not going to go get it now. Things, though, in gaming news that did move the needle for me. Boater, have you uninstalled Call of Duty Warzone?
Yes, I did. And now I have about a quarter of my hard drive free on my Xbox One so that I could download Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag for Brunch with Boater.
Nice. A nice addition of a plug there. But unfortunately, Boater, then you didn't see the best thing that came from the update in Warzone's history yet.
Oh boy.
And it is, anytime there's a loading screen, the screen goes black and some white text appears. And I'm going to read to you what appears in between every single game, in between loading screens, on small screens in the corner on every single game. Because remember, this is a Call of Duty title after all, and the filth of humanity play a lot of these games, myself included, but still, this warmed my heart to see, knowing that the filth that plays this game is going to have to look at this every time.
I have my suspicions, but go ahead and continue.
Appearing in big, bold print, Black Lives Matter. Our community is hurting. The systematic inequalities our community experiences are once again center stage. Call of Duty Infinity Ward stand for equality and inclusion. We stand against the racism and injustice our Black community endures. Until change happens and Black Lives Matter, we will never truly be the community we strive to be.
Okay.
On a Call of Duty game,
Yep.
every single time you load a game, you're dropping in, you're dropping out, things like that. And knowing the scum-sucking pondheads that play these games and then use derogatory language towards ethnicities, sexualities, other groups, things like that, this is a nice little welcome for them that
Yeah,
they are
like,
no longer
At first,
tolerated.
this just feels like this is actually a lot better than just putting it on like an Instagram post or something like that. Because first, like, there's been a lot of lip service to Black Lives Matter in the past couple of weeks,
Mhm.
to varying degrees of they're saying things and sometimes they're acting on things, whatever. This is saying exactly what they could have put on like Twitter or whatever, but by putting it in every single loading screen, everything like that, it makes sure that you see it, and it does make a statement, and it lets the assholes get all butthurt and just being like, well, you're making it political, whatever, and just shoving it in their faces. And yes, like at first I was like, but it's like, no, it makes me really happy. Um, isn't that where pro tips are supposed to go? And Dave, we've had our run-ins with awful loading screen pro tips. No, this is a lot more useful than that.
And I'm very proud of them to be able to potentially scare off money for them, but community that they don't need. Another one
And
that was given.
actually, so more like rigor mortis mentioned something, and I'm going to go to that and mention that as well. I think that you probably had that there. But there is a Black Lives Matter support bundle on Itch.io right now, and it is $5 for hundreds of dollars of games. If you donate $40, you get a ton of games. Like there's like, okay, up to a certain point, you get most of them for $5. If you donate 40, you get all of them. It's a ton of games that are available for this thing, and it is to raise money for Black Lives. Let's see. This may not be the correct bundle. There's a bundle. I'm gonna make sure that I have the right one before I put that up on screen, because I may be giving wrong information. Hold on. Let me go to the right one. Bundle for racial justice and equality. This is the right one. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me start that again. Minimum donation $5, everything included. Okay, there we go. Where they have raised $3.3 million so far in this bundle for racial justice and equality. Many more developers have submitted their projects. It is a $5,700 value if you were to get all of these games at full price. Oh my god, that looks adorable. Mune base. It's a cat. Video games, tabletop games, a ton of stuff. More than 700 games available. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. Night of the Consumers, which I've seen going around YouTube a lot recently. A lot of people design and fight with steampunk airships. Ah! Sorry. I've been on a steampunk kick too. It's important. It's a thing that has been getting put together. The like $11 is the average contribution. Over 300,000 people have contributed, gotten the games, donated towards this. All proceeds will be donated as a 50-50 split between the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund and the Community Bail Fund. Dave, do you have anything to add on this? Because there's a lot here.
No, but just in regards to, I'm happy to see that content creators are able to, in whatever way that they can, such as your big companies putting up PSAs on their social medias, things like that, and then down to content creators that don't necessarily have as large of a market, but coming together to make things like this,
yeah,
is fantastic.
Absolutely. So that is that. Thank you. So I've seen that going around, but thank you to More Like Rigor Mortis for recommending that we talk about that one, and for wrapping me on the head to say, hey, that's a good segue for. Dave likes a good segue. Speaking of which, Dave, give us the next one.
I did want to discuss regular of this program who does work for a company that released a PSA that I very much liked and are continuing to hammer that idea home. The company Games Workshop, or as a lot of the stores are now known, Warhammer, did release a PSA. And in essence, it's a very powerful message, and I won't read it now that we're kind of slipping away, but
no, totally fine.
It's basically discussing and ends with a really nice crescendo. Warhammer is for everyone. We are acceptable of all communities, cultures, things like that. And if you feel the same way, wherever and whoever you are, we're glad to be part of the Warhammer community. And at the end, if not, you will not be missed, period. Love it.
Yes, yeah.
And they have now been then distributing and retweeting and art that's just the heroes and characters of the Warhammer 40K, the Warhammer Fantasy universe,
Yep.
and things like that. Just saying, you will not be missed. Um, I love that, and I love that a company that is UK based is also taking a strong stand because, spoiler alert, folks, it's not just the red, white, and ew having problems with this around the world.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to have jumped in the middle of yours there. I didn't know how many you had with that and how much you were going to quickly segue to something else. Because Dave, you do that and it catches me unawares sometimes. So I wanted to jump in there with the itch.io bundle.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Any other anything else along those lines?
No, that was that thread.
Okay. So I texted Dave today and I said, Dave, I have sports topics for the podcast. To which Dave replied with a tankard because I think he was more or less speechless. Um, and it's a couple things. First off, we're seeing a few sports leagues that are starting to reopen and play to empty stadiums. You showed the WWE was doing that. In Korea, their baseball league is opening up again, but again, empty stadiums, just the teams playing and the support staff like that. But empty seats are really distracting to look at. And so like some teams have been doing like cardboard standees and doing like banners with faces on them or like inflatable something. But some teams are just putting stuffed animals in the stands. And Mickey's got a good seat there. I see Pikachu and SpongeBob right up front. This is a well-stocked crowd. Now, probably as soon as you go wide, there's nobody in all the seats. But you know what? This is the camera you're looking at all the time. Let's fill that up. I appreciate that little attention to detail and having fun with that. I see Dragonite. Oh, Winnie the Pooh! Yay!
It is also in the rules of baseball that there are certain sight lines that have to be either one consistent color or broken up a la having a crowd there.
Yeah.
Directly in the pitcher's line of sight, it has to be a consistency or that, and then directly from where the batter looks out. It's why you'll notice in baseball stadiums the bleachers reach around, but then at the center usually stop. And it's to prevent people, or there's that little spot right in the middle that's just a grass field or something.
Oh.
And it's to prevent people from, it's in the rules, to prevent people from being able to stand there with signs and basically blind the batter.
I did not know that.
Yes, and so this was one of the other topics. I'm happy that you saw this too. That's part of the reason for filling the seats and the stadium is to not only make the presentation look better because it looks like shit if the stadium's empty.
Yeah.
Watch any. Oh, I'm going to pick on the Pittsburgh Pirates today. Watch any of their games in the current lineup, and you will see that it looks like crap.
Yeah. I found this on Kotaku actually, and I'm just gonna leave this up and scroll through because more like rigor mortis. I'll get to the other point in a second, but I wonder whose job it was to obtain all the stuffed animals and place them. Heard that one team put lifelike sex dolls in the stands.
I believe that is in a picture on here.
So it's not sex dolls, but they are inflatable characters. I assume they're not sex dolls. I could assume incorrectly.
Well, you aren't the target audience, clearly.
Clearly. And then like other ways that they're like filling that up. Sex dolls is censored in my chat.
The blue stadium where the like rather large dolls, that's more distracting.
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Like that is just disturbing.
Yeah. Let's see. What'd you do at work today? Bought and arranged 50 plus stuffed animals. And a robot band was playing as well.
I'll have to get my friend Zach, who worked for a minor league team here in New York, to talk about. That's not the most uncommon thing they'll probably do that entire year either.
Yeah. Going back to the previous point really quick because more like rigor mortis did have a good point. as far as companies making statements, this has a ton of implications for future marketing and publicity. If companies do take strong stances, even for something as basic as, human rights and decency, and
Mm.
don't take a huge market loss, it takes away from their excuses for being neutral or weak sauce on issues in the future. And that is something that we've seen. Like Reddit has said, Black Lives Matter, and we're trying to, focus on this, and it's like, yeah, but you still have a lot of cesspools in there. And a couple years ago, you were quoted as saying, well, everyone should be able to speak on the platform.
Yeah, didn't this topic come to their desk more than a couple times, and every
Oh, yeah.
time they've gone mulligan, mulligan.
Yeah, well,
Like,
now they're taking a swing at it, and everyone
mm,
knows that they've, passed it up a bunch of times. But again, maybe now the winds are shifting and they're actually going to do something about it. And a lot of other companies are doing stuff as well, which is really, really nice to see. Another thing that has been going on in this time of quarantine, Dave, do you watch John Oliver at all?
I don't watch network television, so I wouldn't see much of John Oliver's stuff.
Okay. This is one that was put on YouTube. Are you? If I say Yelly's Marble Runs, does that sound familiar to you?
Marble runs do, but in regards to that one now.
Okay, so people might remember like this. This is a channel that started years ago, and was doing like sand marble rally, just making like a sand trench for marbles to go down, and like, oh, which one's doing better? We've got Team Momo out in front, and Red Number Three
Yeah.
is catching up. Like actually having commentators on it, making it like a sport. It's a lot of fun. The past few years, they've been doing Sand Marble Rally. They've been doing the Marble Olympics, now the Marble League. And John Oliver did a bit talking about that and is actually going to be sponsoring the Marble League 2020, which, starts later this month. And they were looking for a main sponsor, and they've stepped in to do that because it's the kind of thing that we need. It's fun. It's a way to do it with social distancing, but they still set it up with like competitors and stuff. Um, so I don't want to cover exactly the same ground, but what I do want to cover is that this has been a really interesting outlet for a different sport that had a calendar of events for this summer that has been interrupted without being able to get competitors out there, without being able to get fans out there. And this is for Formula E. Formula E is an open wheel racing league where all of the vehicles are electric vehicles. Um, and starting a couple of weeks ago is when their season would have started in Paris. Um, and so being unable to do the full season as it is, I don't know who reached out to who, but the races are now being performed by marbles
Oh
on the track
no!
as
Oh
replicas
God!
of the tracks that would be for the Formula E races. For each one, there is a heat where each marble, which represents an actual team in Formula E, BMW I, Audi, Panasonic Envision, Virgin Envision Racing, Envision Virgin Racing, whatever, who has actually been the one to put the money into this presentation. All of these marbles are a different team. Um, and this video comes from the Jakarta one that came out this week. Each is a replica of what the track would be in real life. And so while this doesn't exactly affect team standings outside, as we kind of talked about this, it is still something that is interesting to watch. The
That's
voice,
hilarious.
the voice of Formula E racing, Jack, I don't know his last name, is commentating on this, and as of the second one, also the voice of the Marble League, the normal person that comments on the marble races, also is commentating. So you have two commentators talking about how Team Tachita just passed Porsche right there. And how right there, Version Envision Racing actually bumped Team Audi off of the track. It's been an interesting league so far. I mentioned Version Envision Racing. It has been the one that's supporting this, but they have no points in the tournament as of third, and they got exactly 1 point, even after bumping Audi off the track right here. So it has been really, really fun to watch. Demon Dragon says you can easily spend hours watching marble racing. She should know because we watched the Sand Marble Rally from 2019 a few days ago. We watched the 2019 Marble League last night. It's really fun stuff to watch, and again, with the actual license from Formula E and the rights to use the names for the various teams, it's been really interesting to watch. So it's just, Dave, this is just one more way that people are getting their specific sports fix during quarantine.
Yes. Yes. Super excited to hear about this because if it happens now, it means that it could happen again later. The more interaction we, the basement nerds, get with these
Uh-huh.
mainstream things like that, the better off both uh, lifestyles are going to be.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
it's fun because they have the announcer of Formula E, and people that watch Formula E are watching this, and they're like, wow. So Jack was probably like, "What do you want me to talk about marbles?" And meanwhile, by the end of the race, he's 100% into it. And then you also, because this is on the Yelly's Marble Run YouTube page, you've also got the people that are fans of that and saying like, "Wow, Team Mercedes is doing really well with 2 wins in a row and then a podium after that. If they keep this up, they could maybe rival some of the great teams like the O'Rangers or the uh, Rojo Rollers, the team names that compete
oh
in the
God,
Marble League.
yeah.
Of course, those are the only two I could think of. One didn't qualify for the Marble League in 2019, and the other one did a really poor showing. But either way, it's something I enjoy watching. And again, it's a fun way to get the different communities to do things together. And so even when Formula E eventually comes back, people would still be like, "Oh yeah, I'm subscribed to that Marble thing on YouTube." And same thing the other way around. Like, wow, I was really rooting for Geox Dragon as a team. Let's see how they do in an actual race when we're able to go back there.
The amount of easy cross that they could do in the future between
Mm-hmm.
these two IPs is this will be good.
Yeah, and Marble Run has done a lot. They have another one coming out right now that is sponsored by. It's not in place of another sport. They're doing basically their Marble League style events, but it's sponsored by some like milk dairy company. So they're doing well with that. The Cravendale League or whatever it's called. And they last year they did Marbula One. They did a Formula One thing, which is probably why Formula E approached them to say, "Hey, could you do this
Oh
with
my
us?"
God.
Um, the channel does a lot of stuff, and it's fun things to watch. And it kind of reminds me, Dave, have you ever come up with a game or something with friends that at first blush you say this is utterly ridiculous, but at the end of it you're just so invested? Like, have you just come up with something stupid and then just 100% given it your all?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Many different things. The biggest one was um, we bought a starter kit of games where Warhammer 40K. We
Yep.
built the models, we painted the models, and then all of us were so excited to just play that we put the rule book over there and then just started rolling dice and making up house rules to each other. And
That's
we got
awesome.
so heated about it super fast. Um, Same thing with our local card shop, Comic Depot. Actually, is where you probably went, you piece of shit. But the guy would sell any sort of like Japanese cards to try to get us weebs and nerds to buy them. So we
Yeah,
bought these
yeah.
Gundam ones, and there was no translations to be found.
No, of
It
course
wasn't
not.
really a thing, and so we made up rules based upon the things we could read on the cards, and would have Gundam battles, and they got really ugly really fast. How
For
about
me,
you?
for me, it was probably when I was in high school, and we were sitting at a table that was probably 6 feet long, and just kind of bored there, and we had a 20-ounce bottle of Gatorade that was drained to a certain amount, and we would sit there with it and like slide it across the table to each other. And eventually we came up with the game of the people at the end of the table would slide it back and forth, trying to get it to cross to the end and hanging over, but not falling off. And at first we're like, this is stupid. We're just watching people do this. At the end, when we're like playing to 3, it's come down 2-2, and people are getting really close, and we're like watching, and then someone finally gets a third point, and we're like, yeah! And we look around the cafeteria, and we're like, oh fuck it, that was awesome. I'm up next. To the
There
point
were
where we had like, oh, we need to, the regulation ball is it's drained to this point and so forth. So it wasn't a one-time thing. We played that the rest of the year at our table.
There's also been times where, to cue that whole saying yeah at like times that seem random, Mike and I have made bets about whether that particular mall regular was going to walk past again and how many times. And there have been times where we'll have someone walk past and you just hear, "Damn it!" Like,
Good, good.
exactly. Um,
uh, okay, so that was my topics. Literally, my topics that I brought today were sports related. It was it was the plushies in the stands and the marble races.
Everyone write it down. 6/9/2020. Voter brought sports topics.
Nice.
I will, since we're on the idea of esports and things like that, a little bit of unfortunate news um, for fans, especially in regards to fans of the League of Legends esports. Um, the one of the In my opinion, because I've watched him play a lot, his name is Uzi. His actual name I'm not even going to begin to try to pronounce because it's not going to happen for me. Um, but Uzi is retired. He announced last Wednesday that due to health problems, his translated message basically came to because of chronic stress, obesity, irregular diet, staying up late, and other reasons. He has found that he has type 2 diabetes. So
Mhm.
he is retiring from competitive esports altogether.
Okay.
Um, he is someone that has won quite a few accolades in that league, and I know that not too many of us are much into it. So we'll just say that he's someone that's going to move the needle for them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
he was super good. Like, and LoL is not a game that's very easy to pick up and very easy to play.
No, it's not.
Um,
Demon Dragon does play LOL. I don't know how much she um is really in on the professional scene, but she definitely recognizes says yeah, it's really unfortunate. But it's also one of those things that's like just because you're a professional gamer doesn't mean that you shouldn't take care of yourself. Like everything that you pointed out there is the gamer stereotype. But if you're an esports athlete, you are an athlete. Like yes, most of your physical, most of the physicality is in your forearms down. But it doesn't mean that you don't need to take care of the rest of yourself as well. And it's a really unfortunate way for that lesson to be out there in the community, and hopefully more people can pick up on that. Hopefully he can get a job with the team other as a player, and that's true. Like there is, being a coach or support or anything like that. I don't know if he included any verbiage for that when he said that he was retiring, or if he's just nope, he's just straight up out.
he announced to his 5 million Twitter followers that he was very sorry, but he has to take care of himself. Which,
Yeah.
um, like if your response was, "Oh, well, he should keep playing," like, well, fuck you.
Yeah,
Like,
no, like I definitely think he is going to at least have a leave of absence from professional esports for some time being while he gets his health under control, and gets to a point where he can, keep himself stable. Then he might consider a return as far as coaching or something like that. But for now, I think it probably is better, and it's good that he kind of sees that to say, I'll just leave it. I've made my esports money. um, live on that nest egg for a while.
exactly. Um, and then the other half is, it doesn't mean that he can't then turn around and continue to be a popular streamer or things
Yeah,
like
and that's
that.
that's true. Just because
Um,
even if you're not playing competitively, he still has a following, and as long as his own health comes first, yeah, he could still stream. And I think that's a good way to at least keep himself in the public eye. Whether or not he plans on returning, that might be, yeah, I have my esports nest egg, but let's get a bit of, Twitch partner help in here as well. So, I'm not that big in the LoL Pro scene, but he's definitely a pretty popular player. it's good that he's going to take time to focus on himself, says Demon Dragon. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and especially knowing that the culture um, in esports is that whole keep grinding, keep grinding, keep grinding, as you would see in any other organized sport
We'll call
of
them RL sports.
yeah, be better. You were bad this last game. Keep practicing this. Work better on your throw, on your run, on your
Mm-hmm.
sprint. Lose 5 pounds. Do this, do that. Esports athletes. There's a reason why they're called athletes because they're signing away that chunk of their time of their life to be under the guise of another company or another team
Managers
or
and so
things
forth.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're, let's say that you're in football and you need to keep drilling on stuff, you're at least staying fit. You're at least taking care of your body when you're doing drills or whatever, says Boater that hasn't played a sport in 20 odd years. Um, but like with esports, when you're doing drills, it's just here down. And the rest of this, be damned. And I don't know to what extent pro teams consider that. If there is no, you need to have gym time or you need to have fitness time that is outside of game time. Um,
I
Boater,
can at least say from the extensive amount of esports I've watched in the Overwatch League, awful lot of pictures of them sitting in front of computers at random hours, considering a lot of their teams are based, although
yeah,
the players are US born, they are based in the US. Strange hours to be posting that the whole team is on.
yeah,
Like, hmm.
yeah, and I think that's hopefully that is a wake up because esports is still rapidly evolving. It is still in its infancy. And what it means to be successful at that is still evolving. And part of what is going to need to be considered now after this is that you need to keep the physical health of your players in mind. And that includes making sure that they're not succumbing to obesity, to just being generally unfit. Um, Diets need to be considered as much as they do in real life sports. Um, more like
The
Rick
other
and Morty.
issue,
Go ahead.
yeah, no,
No, I was going to read off from chat, but we'll if you've got a bit more to say here, that's fine.
the other issue, especially stemming from organized leagues which lead to majors, MLB, NL, NHL, things like that. They have feeder teams that take these younger players, things like that. Whereas esports, you're taking a 14-year-old or whatever the minimum age is, and
Yeah,
you're plucking them straight out of
straight
their
into the
home
big leagues.
studio and right in there. So they don't necessarily have that
There's no
wherewithal to say,
adjustment.
yeah, or the understanding of their own person to say, my legs really hurt today. Like it's
Yeah.
just like it's you're pulling youth and you're not necessarily what'll
There's
be good is as these sponsors get bigger and things like that, there will be backlash in
what
these things.
sports have unions for the players? Some of them
Your
do,
big
right?
American ones,
Yep.
any of your large-sized American ones,
Yeah.
I know that your soccer clubs around the world have a players union,
Okay.
but it's not.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
14-year-old exercise and diet habits usually aren't stellar to begin with. But it's like as a 14-year-old, I still had physical education. I still had phys ed. I still had gym to go to. That
yep.
helped. Um, but what was your last sport? Asked more like rigor mortis, specifically of me. But Dave, I also want to hear it from you. For me, it was soccer, AYSO soccer. I stayed into that until I basically aged out of the entire thing. Um, hold on, why am I dropping frames? Oh, the Twitch servers have been very unhappy with me recently.
Eh,
This is slightly better than previous days, but it's Dave. Go ahead and talk. What was your previous sport? And I'm gonna try to
Um,
make sure that that's not on my end.
the last one I did competitively was swimming.
Okay,
Um,
swimming
it
is
was
good.
every summer. I was on a couple different teams, and then in the fall and things, I would do theater and robotics was
Okay.
my.
Okay. No, OBS is trying to eat my computer alive, so I may need to restart that. Oh,
The last.
Firefox. Why is Firefox doing that? Close that. Go away. See if
The
that
one
helps.
last big topic I did want to talk about
There we
was,
go.
did you see what Twitch tweeted out yesterday?
I did not. Just a really quick, because Firefox was eating my CPU and making it really hard for people to watch. Now we're caught back up again.
Yeah.
So let's see. More like Rigor Mortis said that her last sport was Quidditch. Uh, I'm interested in hearing more. Maybe we'll discuss that on the Citadel, which is coming up next. But Demon Dragon says, I was insanely fit when I was 14, but I was playing team sports in high school. Yeah, and then Dave, you did swimming. Me, I did soccer. Soccer and swimming are both two like full body workout kind of things. Although I never played midfield in soccer, I was usually defense. I wasn't good enough for goalie, but I was defense. I would stay back in one spot and occasionally clear the ball.
Who's that 12-foot kid over there? Yeah, just put him out there. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
You just see them. Not that your coach would call it boater. Boater. Oh, yeah. No, higher. Thank you. My whole thing in swimming was literally that I caused a lot of people to have false starts, which would then add time or potentially get them disqualified.
Yep.
And it was an unintentional thing where when I got nervous, I would crack my knuckles and my neck. But when you're a out of shape, rather tall white kid, and you climb on top of the diving block and you're looking left and right doing this and like cracking your neck and things, there are people that get so distracted by the man tits that they would fall into the water. There was one race that I just won without starting it because everyone else got disqualified that way. And the thing was, I like one coach once took issue with it. They were like, he's intimidating the other people. And so the judges came over and they're like, well, what are you doing when you step up there? Explain it to us. And I was like, well, I'm nervous because I'm a fat white kid and I'm climbing in front of everybody and I'm in a Speedo.
Yeah.
So like I do this as an
Good luck
anxious
with
thing, so
that
I'm not
image,
just
everybody.
standing there. And so like the judges were literally like, not a problem. Like,
Yeah.
people just got to stop making it a spectacle.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, Twitch yesterday was struck with their first ever mass DMCA claims.
Yeah, we do
And
got to talk about this since we're on Twitch. I apologize to everyone. I also just killed Chrome, so we're going to see some Chrome windows pop up in front here and probably some YouTube stuff start autoplaying, but hopefully it's not too bad. Click away from all that, and hopefully nothing happens. Dave, continue.
A lot of rather large streamers who have a back catalog of many years, when Twitch first started and they weren't as on top of letting people know that if you have licensed music playing, there will be a reckoning, and
Yep.
this is now the largest one of such.
Yeah, in the past, just as background for everyone, YouTube is good about this. Basically, if you try to use Bop by Hanson, the record label is going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, you don't have the rights to stream that. And what could have happened was that something would come up where YouTube would get sued for it, for publishing it. Instead, the system is in place for a DMCA takedown, Digital Millennium Copyright Act, where they say this video is in violation. YouTube says, oops, my bad, it's gone. It would either be taken down or muted. At Twitch, because it started out as a live thing, that's a little harder to police. So right out the gate, when it started with Twitch, as Justin TV when it first started, and then Twitch.tv, it was a lot harder to do in real time, but those tools have developed. And so now it is to the point where DMCA takedowns can happen, particularly because Twitch allows you the ability to have clips up of things that you've done in the past. Dave, if you want to take it from here.
Just so you go on Twitch and you have an average streamer that plays just one thing. There are many streamers that only do Fortnite. There are many streamers that do other things. But what about the streamers that only play rhythm games? Yes, a lot of those games do have licenses for the music. But just
Yeah.
because you're playing it doesn't mean you have that license.
It doesn't mean
Like,
that it's a broadcast license. There's a
yes,
difference, yeah.
because if it's a rhythm game, I can tell you because I looked this up because I was curious if Rocksmith, because I know they do separate licenses and things like that. No, they do not have distribution rights for those songs, which is why all of the ads will either be an ad that's only going to be out for a certain amount of time, or they will have unlicensed music in them, and then they'll keep playing it on their homepage.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so clips are a piece of someone's old stream, for those of you who do not know that about Twitch, and as Boder had mentioned.
Mhm.
And what that means is if you go on anyone's channel, including this one, if you look down below, there's many hilarious clips of things that have been done on many different channels. And it's a good way of getting a view of, oh, that was really funny. I really liked that. Or there's more clips like that or things like that. Now people have to go back years, 5, 6, so many more other than that,
Yep.
to remove them to comply with the DMCA takedowns.
And it
Um,
sucks because these clips could be things that like really contributed to the community. Some of the best moments that can happen during a broadcast. I have
and
favorite moments from maybe not necessarily broadcast, but YouTube videos, and I do have those as clips that sometimes are highlights out separate out there, but that I can still always reference and say, "Oh man, the beginning to this episode." Um, and the thing is that as a YouTuber, because YouTube has been on top of that more, I'm more conscious of using music that is non-copyright or that is royalty free to be able to use. Music that you hear for the most part before my streams, I purchase albums of NCS music, which is specifically under a label that you can just stream. It's meant for streaming and YouTube stuff. I mentioned the beginning of a Mirror's Edge episode. I paid $5 for a licensed performance of the William Tell Overture. And they tried to take it down, and I had the documentation to say, no, actually, I paid for a license for this, and it got put back up. That is not a thing that Twitch streamers are nearly as used to.
and if it's a clip from 5 years ago of
Yeah, if you've learned
one
better, say
song,
in 2018, but you still want to have your clips up in the past, unfortunately, you're kind of screwed. So a lot of people, to keep from getting copyright strikes, are just pulling down all their old clips.
which is a
Hurts.
shame, especially knowing that a lot of the live streamers don't have, well, actually, perfect difference between Boder and myself. For when Boder streams and things like that, you will see clips. You will have well edited footage of what that looks like and things like that.
Yep.
I don't have those skills, and so my streams are experienced in the moment. Sometimes clips will be made by people make them. Sometimes clips will be made if I make them. And if I'm able to remember to download it to be sat in the background, that's great. But a lot of the streams, they're once I click end, they're gone.
Yeah.
So clips are a lot of times the only memory that you have of specifically, hey, look at this setup and what this looked like at this time and things like that of clips like mine.
Yep.
So it's
Where we can
tough.
remember from when we were doing things in the store, when you were doing things, let's say last year where you were in the lounge area of the store, that we had
Yep.
some really good times with stuff there. Um,
Or
yeah.
like in the beginnings of the Weekend Wednesday for Insane Games TV, Tom found the oldest clip that exists of my channel, and it's of the first stream I ever did. We were playing Call of Duty Black Ops. It was me and the undisputed Insane Games Call of Duty champion, long may he live, Dusimo. Um, long may he live. But it was a kill where someone just was spawned, threw a tomahawk in the air, and it landed and it killed me. Like
Yeah.
amazing. And like so that's the only clip that exists of the era when I didn't have a face cam, when I didn't have a lot of these other things. It was
Yeah.
just the gameplay and the
Exactly.
voices.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad that there will be no takedowns for stuff like that unless Call of Duty bans itself, which good riddance. But
Yeah, and the thing that happens too is that takedowns don't happen until a company decides to do takedowns, decides to do things about it. And unfortunately, it was just this was a company that all of a sudden enacting a bunch of DMCA takedown notices.
yeah,
And because most companies are fine with the exposure, at least on Twitch, because um, like with Twitch, they know that you're not necessarily making money off of the song. Whereas on YouTube, if I put up a gameplay video, but I have X Gon Give It To You in the background, a lot of people might go to it for the music, and then I would be getting money from it, and that's me making money off the music, as opposed to if it happens to be on in the background during a stream.
Or the thousands and thousands of people online that screwed Jake Paul out of his pay-per-view money by putting it on Twitch because Twitch is not coming after you when you're live.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you to those streamers because fuck Jake Paul.
Yep.
But yeah,
Dave, I think as much I'm glad that we took a few extra minutes to talk about that because that is an issue on Twitch, and we do make sure to we do make sure to sorry. We do make sure here that we're using music that is good and clear. We find versions of music that we're able to clear for that. We try to make sure. But that doesn't mean that everyone is. And it is something that, I think that Tom, who does a lot of the animations and stuff, he's going to double check through our libraries and make sure that we're compliant with that with our music going forward because unfortunately now it's kind of rearing its ugly head. So, that all said, I think it's time to wrap up. You've been poked from off screen, and I all of a sudden got a paranoia check to make sure I wasn't going to get poked from off screen. But before she catches up to that part of the broadcast and comes on down to do something, we're going to call that a wrap for tonight. So everybody, thank you so much for watching the Nerd Glasses podcast. We've had a great time tonight. Boater talked sports. We marked our calendars. We talked about Twitch DMCA takedowns. We talked about further action taken by game companies in regards to the Black Lives Matter movement. We've talked about a lot of stuff, and I can't wait to talk about more next week. Dave, do you have anything to add?
just that folks keep it tuned in here to Insane Games TV because where the Nerd Glasses is ending, the gaming and the fun is just beginning on your evening. Keep it tuned in right here because after this, I will go offline, Boater will go offline, and up will come the Citadel, a shining beacon every Tuesday evening of gaming and fun. Make sure to keep it tuned in here because, Boater, what are you playing?
I'm going to be
tonight?
playing the Bard's Tale tonight.
God!
More pants for the pantry as it goes. I'm so glad that I have a community with a meme now. Yes, so what's going to happen is that the stream is going to go offline. It's going to be 2 minutes maximum, and then it comes back on for the 10-minute countdown. So we will be live by 9 o'clock, as we always hope to be. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you do not stay for the Citadel, then stay following us. The button is either up here or down there, depending on how it's rolled out to you. And we have content on here 7 days a week, so be sure to follow us right here at Insane Games TV _ right here on Twitch. In the meantime, everybody, I've been Boater.
I've been Dave Mann.
And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. Oh, no, I don't want to exit. I just want to stop streaming. Okay, bye!